un momento prego, la chiamano per una collettiva. Bleiben Sie bitte am Apparat, Sie werden für ein Konferenzgespräch verlangt. Un instant s'il vous plaît, on vous demande pour une conversation conférence.
Pronto? Ciao Poppy! Adesso vi passo Chiara!
We're going on a tour around the world. It'll take a bit of time because the world's quite big.
È una conferenza telefonica.
It's a conference call where I give a strong spiritual thought that we can live together. When we call the zones and they answer, "Hello, how are you?" So it's the life of a family. It's wonderful.
Meraviglia. Avevo per scopo di
Its aim is to help us go on a holy journey, a journey towards holiness.
La fede che più amo, dice Dio,
The faith I love most, says God, is hope. That surprises me. This hope, this little hope. It seems like something insignificant, this childlike hope. Immortal, the little hope advances between its two elder sisters, and no one looks back upon her. On the way to salvation, the little hope advances.
These are some verses by the French author Charles Péguy, often quoted by Pope Francis. We would like it to be precisely hope, this childlike virtue, that leads us today in this link-up, as we pray and build peace, as we try to be close to those who pass us by. Hope helps us to believe that this peace will come. Hope helps us to get up again and continue our journey. Hello everyone, I'm Mariapolis Centre. I'm Italian from Sicily. I live in Belgium and I'm a journalist.
I'm Davide, I'm Italian. I live here in the Castelli Romani in Italy and I'm a singer-songwriter. And at heart, I'm a computer scientist. Welcome to all of you here today and to those who are following us from all over the world. And a greeting to Margaret Karram and Jesús Morán, President and Co-President of the Focolare Movement, who are here with us today. Welcome. We're approaching Christmas, a celebration that, more than any other, reminds us of the family. We'd like to highlight this worldwide dimension of family by greeting the Focolare communities in various parts of the world. Let's start from Bratislava in Slovakia.
Siete collegati?
Ciao, sì.
Benissimo.
Pekný večer všetkým. Sme komunita zo Slovenska a sme veľmi radi, že dnes máme túto možnosť sa s vami spojiť.
Good evening, everyone. We're one of the communities of Slovakia. We're one of the communities of Slovakia, and we're very happy to have the chance to be linked up with all of you today. We want to send our greetings from our Christmas celebration in the Focolare of Bratislava. About 180 of us of different generations were together to spend time as one big family in this pre-Christmas period. Even if we're far away, you're with us in our hearts and in our prayers. Greetings and happy Christmas.
Grazie.
Thank you to our Slovakian friends. And all of those connected with us throughout Europe. In fact, we'd like to take this opportunity to invite everyone to send in your photos while you follow us live.
On the 29th and 30th of October, an extreme meteorological event called Dana hit the Spanish province of Valencia, causing over 200 deaths and tens of thousands of displaced persons and incalculable damage. We'll now connect with Clara from the Valencia community. Are you there? We're here together. Greetings from Valencia in Spain. We're here as a family for our Christmas celebration, even if we're still affected by what we had to live because of the floods. Our hearts are suffering because of the many lives lost, the material damage and the difficulties that we're still living and that won't be solved in the near future. At the same time, we're full of hope, seeing the many gestures of concrete love, so many gifts that have arrived through the Gino Giordani Foundation, so much commitment, especially of young people who flowed in like a human river to offer help to those who were affected. Together with you, we're preparing our Christmas crib also in our hearts, so as to welcome Jesus, who's born again.
Grazie.
Thank you. Thank you, Clara and all those from Valencia. Let's now connect with the community in Zimbabwe. Can you hear us? From Zimbabwe, are you connected? Can you speak now? Let's see.
Ci sentite? Potete salutarci.
If you can hear us, perhaps you can greet us.
Forse hanno qualche problema.
Maybe they've got a problem.
Hi all. We send you many greetings from Zimbabwe. We're here from different parts of the country for Formation Weekend, and we are very happy to be with you all. In Mozambique, a country close to ours, there have been eternal conflicts for some months. The community sent us a video with the greetings and their commitment to peace.
Ciao.
País, realizada no passado 9 de outubro, estamos a viver uma dolorosa.
So we send our greetings from Mozambique. After the general elections on the 9th of October, we've been living quite a painful socio-political situation in our country, caused by the rejection of the results which were announced by the National Electoral Commission.
Para intensificar a oração pela justiça, a oração pela reconciliação e a oração pela paz ao nível pessoal, ao nível das nossas famílias e nas comunidades às quais pertencemos.
For example, one community member managed to advise some young people in his neighborhood to avoid participating in actions that would have encouraged acts of violence. Some people were repeatedly unable to go to work. At home and in the neighborhood, we tried to promote dialogue and tolerance as a contribution to peace. Also, on a community level, we're sharing food and money as much as possible with the homeless and with needy families in our neighborhood. Even if all these actions are not enough, but we believe that love conquers all.
Grazie, ci crediamo anche noi.
Thank you. We believe that too. We're praying with you together for the situation there in Mozambique.
Youth and hope, two inseparable words. Recently, Francisco from the Philippines was in Rome for the International Youth Advisory Body, an international group composed of young people meeting at the Dicastery for the Laity, Family and Life. Francisco should have been with us, but at the moment he's in the airport on his way back to Manila. We've got a picture here of the working group. Francisco's at the top in the striped shirt. So when you hear us, Francisco, you can see what we've said and have a good journey.
In
recent months, we've been in suspense as tensions flared up again in the Middle East. In Lebanon, during those weeks when people were fleeing the bombs, the Mariapolis Centre, La Sorgente, 20 kilometers north of Beirut, opened its doors to the displaced people. Let's listen to Colette and Roger.
In the year 2000, after the civil war, a real dialogue began with our Muslim friends through meetings and personal relationships. Then the war of July 2006 began, and as our friends lived in dangerous areas, we were worried about them, and we insisted that they come and seek shelter at the Mariapolis Centre. There were 150 people of all ages. The war in 2006 lasted 33 days, and since then, we haven't stopped seeing them and doing activities together. We've had meetings, outings, sometimes days spent together, which we called oases of peace. The love between us became reciprocal, and this time too, when they felt threatened by the war, the first place they thought of so as to seek shelter was the Mariapolis Centre.
On the 23rd of September, the centre welcomed 130 people. The following day, a woman gave birth there to her first baby, Mariam. And providence was never lacking. Many people joined in to help to provide food and clothing, medicines, to help the children with their studies. They brought books and teaching aids and provided a Wi-Fi connection for online courses. On one occasion, a man from the village came on foot and asked to speak to someone in charge. When Zina arrived, he gave her 400,000 Lebanese lira, about €4, and he told her it was all he had. She said, "It's a treasure. We were able to buy bread with this money, which was considered a blessing and given to everyone. Because our friends want to live reciprocity, they did some work and repairs at the centre." On the 27th of November, there was the ceasefire. Many of the people who were there returned to their villages, but many houses had been destroyed. Many needed repairs, and a lot of land had been ruined.
During 66 days spent together, we experienced love, fellowship, and peace in everyday situations, in practical needs, and in listening to their worries. We experienced being a very united family.
We cannot forget the war and this tragedy with destruction and forced displacement. But we want to sow hope, starting from the positive, and to say, with John Paul II, that Lebanon is more than a country, it's a message.
Thank you, Colette and Roger, and for what you shared with us. Today, the thread of hope is really leading us to the ends of the earth. We're now traveling with Gen Rosso to Mongolia. The Gen Rosso group is not only about music and entertainment, but it's also a continuous search for proximity, for closeness with those who come into contact with them, reaching them in the most distant and least known countries.
Welcome to Mongolia.
Hello everyone, we've just returned from Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. We had 12 wonderful days, packed with activities. We were invited by Cardinal Giorgio Marengo. We had a lot of meetings and much music.
We started with the workshops with 120 young people from Ulaanbaatar city, but also from elsewhere. They travelled many hours by bus to be with us for just 2 days.
Then we went to visit the children of the Verbist Care Centre orphanage. There was so much excitement in the air. There were children from 3 to 16 years old. We danced with them, they sang us their songs, and the following day we went to visit some homeless people in a social centre called the House of Mercy. It was very moving there.
We like getting to know the local culture, so we went to visit a nomad family there in their home in the middle and saw how they live in their traditions. They offered us food, drink, and we admired a breathtaking landscape that only Mongolia had.
In the meantime, the day of the concert was drawing near. The young people came to see us in the theatre. We had the dress rehearsal in the corporate council hall. We had a great show. We were all very happy. The organisers, the young people, the people who came, and there was a load of happiness. The next day, before we left, we also had a meeting at the Italian embassy. The ambassador was expecting us. We spent an hour together. This gave a further official note to Gen Rosso's passing visit to Mongolia. So with a heart full of gratitude to Cardinal Giorgio Marengo and the organisers, we came home, and already we're hoping to return. Who knows when?
We'll now move to Bethlehem. On the 24th of October, a 3-year project was launched at the theatre of the Holy Land College in Bethlehem. And they'll tell us what it's all about, live from the very city where the star stopped. Rima and Tama, over to you. For quite some time, there's been a desire to make our contribution so that what we do can have an impact in society, promoting activities that have continuity. Some time ago, the Patriarch, Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa, said, "We really should commit ourselves so that in schools, in our institutions, in the media, in politics, in places of worship, the name of God, our neighbour and companion in life may resound." This encouraged us to focus in schools with the young people. We're all aware of the situation in which we find ourselves, where humanity finds itself today, so many difficulties and suffering. We want to contribute so that young people can have a different outlook from the one they see every day. The Together We Connect project was born from this. The aim is to rekindle hope, nurture faith, and promote a spirituality that's rooted in the gospel in the young generations, to form the women and men of tomorrow, capable of being promoters of reconciliation and dialogue, helping to strengthen the wounded social fabric, young leaders of a new culture of cooperation, fraternity, sharing, active citizenship, a culture of care, of encounter. It's a 3-year program. We've begun with 5 schools in the district of Bethlehem and East Jerusalem.
إنه برنامج مدته 3 سنوات. بدأنا ب5 مدارس في محافظة بيت لحم والقدس الشرقية.
Grazie, grazie. E potreste dirci concretamente quali attività sono previste?
Could you tell us what specific activities are being planned?
There are formation educational sessions, using interactive methods, using language that they know, like theater, music, photo, sports, workshops. In the first year, we'll work on 3 topics: self-knowledge, self-esteem, and personal development. Then, conflict management and openness to accounting, group work, intergenerational and peer dialogue. With each topic, we want to associate an action of the cube of peace, so that each topic addressed has the effect of putting it into practice by creating new relationships.
بحيث يكون لكل موضوع يتم تناوله تأثير في تطبيقه من خلال خلق علاقات جديدة.
In this project, how many children and young people are involved? Do you have any of their impressions?
Together with the principals, it was decided to involve the 7th grade students in the first year, about 300 children between the ages of 13 and 15. From next year, we'll probably involve others. Here are some of their impressions. One said, "For the first time, somebody understood me well." Another said, "The activity allowed us to share our feelings and thoughts." Another, "I thank you with all my heart, because what we do makes us feel important, and that our existence and opinions are important." And finally, "I was able to share my thoughts without being afraid."
وأهمية وجودنا وآرائنا. استطعت من مشاركة أفكاري وعدم الخوف منها.
We experience a sense of serenity. I was able to learn about beautiful things and get to know my own personality. Through these activities, I discovered the values that I possess. I learned important things. For example, patience, and I understood the meaning of life.
Quanti collaborano a questo meraviglioso progetto. Un saluto a tutti voi a Betlemme.
Greetings to everyone in Bethlehem. It's wonderful how many people are collaborating in this project.
Welcome, Jesus. Another sign of hope is the initiative Together for Europe, which unites movements and charisms from various Christian churches. From the 31st of October to the 2nd of November, the meeting for Friends of Together for Europe took place in Graz, Austria. Jesus, you took part. We have a question for you. You've often spoken of creative, dynamic faithfulness, actualization of the charism. In the journey of Together for Europe, which celebrated its 25th anniversary, where are we in this regard? I think we can talk of creative fidelity when we speak about Together for Europe. From the meeting in Timișoara up to the meeting in Graz this year, I think we've actualized what's happening in 2 different ways. We've understood that union is not enough. We need unity. This is not a question of language. This is something profound, because Jesus did not pray the Father, may they be, that they be one, not may they be one, but they be one. So being in union together is good, but unity is what Jesus prayed for. So we spoke about this. We think we've taken a step of quality. Then Jesus' prayer was that the world may believe. And so the other direction was outwards, not the internal relationship between us, but outwards. So I feel there's a bigger presence in the political world, for instance, and in all the cultural agencies. So I think this outward motion, we're having a better incisiveness in the cultural and political world. This year there was a very special moment, an evening prayer for peace. We saw in this link-up what it means to pray for peace. And finally, we spoke a lot about what will happen next year. In 2025, we'll celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Schuman Declaration, which began the European Union. It was a fundamental moment for the European Union, and we want to be present in some way for this. In 1953, Schuman said these words: the European institutions would be a body without a soul if they were not animated by a spirit of brotherhood based on a Christian concept of freedom and dignity of persons. This was a program, and we'd like to be up to the level of this program. Thank you, Jesus.
Now we want to go to the root of our choices for peace. We could say, trying to take many steps of peace, starting from the little things. Chiara Lubich, on the 11th of June 1988, speaking to the New Humanity movement, gave us a key to ensure that the civilization of love doesn't remain limited to the level of a dream.
We must be convinced that for the civilization of love to become a reality, we have to storm the world with a current of love. Otherwise, everything will remain like a dream, destined to die. Love, teaching to love. The person who truly knows how to love is the person who knows that he or she is sincerely loved. This is a human observation, but it's no less valid in the supernatural field, to know that we are loved. By whom?
Da colui che è l'amore.
By the one who is love. We must open the eyes of as many brothers and sisters as possible so that they might see and discover the treasure that they possess, often without realizing it. They're not alone on this earth. There is love. They have a Father who doesn't abandon his sons and daughters to their own destiny. He wants to accompany them, watch over them, help them. He is a Father who doesn't load burdens that are too heavy onto other shoulders. He is the first to carry them. In our case, he doesn't leave the renewal of society only to human initiative, but he's the first to be concerned with it. People should know this and turn to him, aware of the fact that nothing is impossible for him. We must believe, therefore, that we're loved by God, so that we can throw ourselves with greater faith into the adventure of love and work together with him for a new humanity. Then we must focus our interests on the human person and share with them misfortunes and successes, spiritual goods and material goods. And to love well, we mustn't see the difficulties, corruption, and sufferings of the world merely as social evils to be resolved. Rather, we must recognize in these the countenance of Christ, who didn't disdain to hide himself beneath all human poverty. Because of him, especially for those of us who are Christian, our greatest energies are channeled for the good of others. But since the love we're talking about is certainly not only philanthropy or friendship, or purely human solidarity, but is primarily a gift from above, we must put ourselves in the best attitude possible for receiving it by nourishing ourselves on and living the Word of God. Every person, in their large or small world of daily activities, the family, office, factory, trade union, immersed as they may be in local and general problems, in public institutions, and all the way to the United Nations, can truly be a builder of peace, a witness to love, an instrument of unity.
Fattore di unità.
Costruttori di pace,
builders of peace, witnesses to love, instruments of unity. These are the words that we've just heard embodied in the testimony of Chiara Lubich. So, the Chiara Lubich Hogar home is a surprising place of warmth and welcome in the Peruvian Amazon.
We arrived from Argentina, and Jenny invited me to go for a walk around the outskirts of the town, away from the city center. We started walking, and suddenly we heard some groaning coming from a run-down building. We went closer and found an old woman close to death. What a shock! We did everything we could to save her. She was lying in the mud, alone, abandoned, and we said, we must do something about this. We looked into each other's eyes and said, something is beginning here, but where do we start? And we both said at the same time, from the least, from those who are rejected by society.
At that moment, on seeing this abandonment, I felt the desire in my heart to be able to do something more. To be able to give these people a space, a proper, dignified place, a place where they can be cared for and accompanied by the warmth of a family. And that was the beginning of the dream that appeared very distant, but it came true, the Hogar Home of Care. We welcome the elderly to come and stay and live in the Hogar Care Home. These are elderly people who live alone, who have no family, who have no children, who have no one to take care of them. They are people who have been abandoned. The little care home houses 10 elderly people. This is the capacity we have for now. We would like to welcome more because there are many people who are on the waiting list. We also provide lunches for elderly people with disabilities or people who live alone. In total, we are helping 38 elderly people. My family is a great support for me. My husband encourages me every day, and he helps me a lot with our daughters, with my parents, because the care home means being there.
Es estar aquí. Luchito, uno de nuestros internos de la casa hogar.
Luchito, one of our residents at the care home, used to live alone. He unexpectedly got a very strong allergy in his upper and lower limbs. He was in a very delicate situation and needed continuous medication. He used to come to eat at the care home. Then, in time, thanks to the care that the helpers gave him, Luchito got better. He decided to stay in the care home, so now he is another member of the Hogar Care Home. He lives here and works in the vegetable garden, and what he does is very important because in the kitchen, we can use his vegetables to cook. He has also chosen to give away his little house where he used to live to a family that was living on the street.
We received practically everything through donations from people of goodwill, friends who know us. Here, nobody's an entrepreneur and nobody has a lot of money to give.
God's providence gives us what we need. If one day we don't have potatoes, potatoes arrive. If one day we don't have bread, bread comes. And I get so moved when things that we really need start arriving. So I think we must be on the right track. We see the elderly share and being happy, and we see them healthy and cared for. We see the helpers working with a lot of love and the children having fun together with the elderly, and we see families coming here and becoming aware of this social reality. For me, this is the most beautiful gift, the most beautiful thing that could happen to me.
Lo mejor que me puede pasar.
Che meraviglia, vero?
Marvelous, wonderful scenes. The elderly people at the Chiara Lubich home in these tender images of love and care make us think of the importance of being close. This year, Margaret Karram invited all those who live the spirituality of the folklore to put proximity, closeness into practice in a more intense way. This theme was also fully developed during a meeting of the Zone Delegates of the movement, together with the General Council of the Folklore movement. We'll listen to some of their impressions, and they'll help us to reconstruct together what they experienced during those days. Let's listen to them.
I was particularly struck by how this meeting started. Of course, we knew that our theme for this year would be closeness, learning closeness from God, because He is so close to us. And we started already on the first day with the sudden and surprising death right in front of our eyes, in our midst, of Griselda, the Zone Delegate from Argentina. We had the impression that this moment really brought us closer in a special way, as brothers and sisters. And this was the attitude, the mutual love, that from that moment marked our meeting and our working together. And this is what I also wish for the future, for our zones, and for the preparation of the next General Assembly.
In der Vorbereitung für die nächste Generalversammlung.
Abbiamo fatto varie meditazioni su brani del Paradiso.
We read various meditations on passages from Paradise. I think the light of this experience in 1949 is important for understanding the various dynamics in our group work. It's challenging to address them, not so much personally, but together, with different mindsets, different interpretations, different cultures. First of all, you have to be open to take on the way of thinking of the other person, which may not always coincide with the way you see things.
Sono stati giorni molto intensi, molto importanti.
These were very intense and very important days. The meeting gave us the opportunity to become close to some people who've suffered very hard, very difficult, and very traumatic situations within the Focolare movement. On the one hand, they were very profound moments. On the other, a big examination of conscience about how we, each of us, are close to those who are suffering because of various circumstances. Not at all simple, because understanding the suffering of another, even if not in a complete way, is always a challenge.
È sempre una sfida.
Posso dire in 3 parole? I can express in 3 words what the meeting was like for me. conversion, joy, and hope. The experience of Griselda's death put me in the essential as a strong call for me to live a radical life of the gospel and to pay attention to our relationships. Joy, because like in a family, we face the challenges, the sufferings of the movement.
Le sfide e il dolore dell'opera.
Una delle tematiche che abbiamo cercato di approfondire.
One of the topics we tried to explore in one of the workshops was how and where God is calling us. I would like to emphasize above all the methodology we used, because when we started working, we thought of using a group reflection method where everyone could express themselves, where everyone could offer their contribution. I think this is a way of doing things that must continue to be developed within the movement, so that everyone may have the opportunity to express themselves and give their contribution.
Possibilità di esprimersi e di dare il loro contributo.
¿Dónde y cómo Dios nos llama?
Where and how God calls us. Where? I learned that this where is not only a physical space, but also means being close to a need, to a suffering, accompanying. A where that also means helping to initiate or deepen processes that encourage the hopes or dreams of others. I've been very struck by the fact that He calls us, He calls me, He calls you, but He also calls us as bearers of a collective spirituality. I think we have learned, or at least I have, that peace is not just the absence of war, but it should also be built where there are problems of divisions in our societies, in our communities.
These days together have been a family experience, of a real, true family. If I had to give this family a name and a surname, I would say Family of Hope. Esperanza, hope in Spanish, was the word that Griselda's mother said to us on the day of her funeral, using a play on words of the name of the home city of Griselda, Esperanza, and the real meaning of this word. I think that during the meeting, this concept came up many, many times, together in hope, the family of hope.
La familia de la esperanza.
Ciao Margaret.
Margaret, we've just heard some experiences from Lopiano, the Lopiano meeting, and before that, the moving testimony of the Chiara Lubich home, precisely about closeness. What can you tell us?
The experiences we've had, it's so moving, but also the greetings from the different areas of the world. Every news made me understand a concrete example of being close. Above all, what we saw of the Chiara Lubich Hogar home, they really made themselves close to people who were rejected, abandoned, alone. And also the thing of Gen Rosso really touched me, because they didn't go just to do a concert, but they met people, they did workshops, they loved the people who they met. So I think we could really comment on every news that we've heard, but all very concrete examples of closeness. And I thought this year that we've decided to deepen, to look in depth at this subject of being close, of closeness, and I gave it this title, Who Are You for Me? As you may know, this is also the title of the theme that we want to develop this year. Who are you for me? What can I do for you? And I'm sure that each one will find 1,000 different ways, different things that we can do so to look to a need, to a neighbor who needs help wherever you meet them. We saw some experiences here, and I think these can really burn in our heart to make so that we too can find many, many ways of being close to other people. Also, the meeting of the delegates, for me, it was a meeting, if I could define it, it was a meeting of fraternity. We worked a lot. It was a meeting with a lot of commitment, a lot of work, all the hours of the day. But the most beautiful thing was that we grew together in our mutual love between the zones, the different geographical areas of the world, with the centre, with the General Council. We built a unity that was stronger and stronger. And this was important, was doing this in the little groups to get to know one another, to live what the other zone is living, which isn't mine, and to be enriched with what everyone else is living. There was a real exchange of gifts all the time, and we discovered we have so many resources. Also, maybe we thought we didn't have vocations, we didn't have ways of acting, but we discovered how many resources we have. It made us look together at the whole movement in the world, and to look and think, what are our perspectives? What's God asking us to do now if we look to the future? So this was also a meeting of closeness, and it really opened us to look ahead, to see how many openings we've got, but we did it together. It's not the centre and the zones, but we're one reality together. We're finding solutions together. We're working together for all the challenges that we have. So it really was a beautiful experience.
Thank you, Margaret, for these words of hope. Thank you. So we're heading towards the final part of this link-up, but first we'd like to remind you that this episode is available in various languages on the YouTube channel of the link-up. There you can rewatch or share individual contributions and stay up to date by clicking on the bell.
We'd also like to remind you that because of the many difficult situations around the world, some of which we've mentioned in this link-up, the Focolare movement has set up an extraordinary fundraising for specific projects. We've set up this new project through its emergency coordination to help the affected populations. All the information can be seen on the website focolare.org.
And for the upcoming events in a few days, on the 24th of September, the Catholic Church, the Jubilee year will begin with the theme Pilgrims of Hope. The Jubilee has always been an event of great spiritual, ecclesial and social significance, even beyond the Catholic world. We hope it'll be a year of grace and forgiveness, of conversion and unity.
And we'll meet again for the next link-up on Saturday, the 15th of March, 2025. Save the date.
We want to conclude this link-up by renewing our commitment to peace together, here and now.
Peace. We ask for peace in every corner of the world, so that the conflicts that still afflict so many countries may cease. We commit ourselves to building peace by starting with small daily gestures.
जिसकी शुरुआत हम अपने छोटे-छोटे दैनिक कार्यों से करेंगे।
Acogida a las personas obligadas a huir de su patria, para que encuentren en nosotros y muchos mentes, corazones.
So many people, minds, hearts and hands that are open and willing to become neighbors to those who've lost everything. That's from Venezuela.
From Jordan, courage. May it be the guide for governments and international diplomacy, and may it help in implementing firm and decisive political choices aimed at peace and the common good.
From Zimbabwe, justice to be implemented soon for all peoples, especially for those still suffering because of violence, hatred, oppression, exploitation.
Through dialogue among people of diverse cultures and faiths, we are committed to ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to grow in their faith, in respect for others, and in generating collaborative spaces towards a more just and united world.
From Bethlehem, hope. We're committed to ensuring that all children, teenagers and young people have the opportunity to grow up in peace and be educated to a culture of peace in full respect of their rights.
Solidaridad. Honduras. Solidarity. For those who've experienced natural disasters, we want to offer practical and tangible aid and support them so they do not lose the hope and the strength to start again. Romania. Together, as people of all Christian denominations, we want to continue along paths of collaboration and fraternal friendship by reaching out to those who are suffering the most and are rejected by society.
Fraternidad. Nos comprometemos para que se desarmen la lengua y las manos.
Fraternity. We commit ourselves so that our tongues, our hands may be disarmed, so that hearts and minds may be renewed, and so that more and more we may look on our common humanity and recognize each other as brothers and sisters.
unity. May it be the goal we never tire of walking towards, welcoming all diversity, not with fear, but as a challenge and a richness in our shared journey towards peace.
Se vuoi farci gli auguri.
At the end of this year almost, I want to send my greetings to everybody all over the world, the most beautiful Christmas greetings. But first of all, together with all of you, I'd like to thank Jesus. Because first of all, he made himself small for us. He was the first to love us. And he taught us what closeness really means, what it means to love beyond measure. Let's ask him as a gift to open our hearts, as we've never done before, to every brother and sister, to true relationships, so that we can really be, all of us, bearers of peace and of hope. So, happy Christmas to you all. Happy Christmas.
Feliz Navidad.